Want to welcome all of you. Thank you for coming on this Monday afternoon, 4 p.m. Pacific. We do these every week. I want to help people to understand um, how they can become free. And there's so many different elements of what these people have done to take away that thought process of freedom. And, I've come to a realization that freedom isn't just a physical thing. It's very much a spiritual thing. And I think even more so a spiritual thing, and it's even a mental thing. Many of us have forgotten who we are as Americans, as a people, because we never were that free man or woman. We've always been subjected to the scary thought of government overreach. I'm really kind of tired of watching cops put their foot into doors. I'm tired of watching police abuse people, ICE abuse people. What people don't understand in this nation is your founders were just like the people that are coming today trying to get freedom. I get it. It's a mixed bag when you have all the criminals from Argentina and Brazil come up and just get dumped into the streets and start causing chaos. Those guys need to be treated like criminals. We got to figure out a way to treat people like God would have us treat them. And we got to figure out how to do it with integrity. I get the rule of the law, but what a lot of you people don't realize, the rule of the law for an American is if you make it here and you give your allegiance, you are an American, because that's all it was in the past. Then the United States kicked in and said, oh, we need to naturalize you, green card you, go through all these processes to contract you to a corporation, not contract you to the United States of America. Do you know why they send home criminals that are undocumented and why they changed it from illegal alien to undocumented worker? Because they weren't illegal. Okay. And they weren't aliens. If they wanted to be, they should have been called a Californian or a New Yorker. The reality is, if somebody makes it here in this nation and they're not treated like this, they should be considered an American. If they want to work hard, if they want to give their allegiance to, if they want to maybe, I don't know, serve in the armed forces, show their allegiance. But we can't do that because the Republic, even though it has been re-inhabited, it is not standing as the generalized governmental form in this nation. Let me turn on my air. All right. It's kind of funny when I get afraid, like if I turn around, because this thing does a center and it will follow me. So if I turn around and if I go too high, you'll see my shorts. Hey, it's full disclosure, baby. It's time. It's full disclosure. Anyway, I wanted to share that with you guys because us as a nation is a reflective of us as individuals. And when you have what is being represented as due process enforcement, it's a sad state. I mean, collect them if you got to. Do it with integrity. Don't show up jumping out of a van, no identifier on you, face covered, violating all the rights of a man or a woman. Just let's figure this out. And I'm going to play for you a clip. It's 4 minutes. It was one of the most touching clips I have seen. This is not an endorsement for Kiss, meaning the band. I have never endorsed or liked Kiss. I like a couple of their songs, but you're going to hear, and this is not, I don't take a stand for anybody, any people. I do take a stand with God's people, but as an American, I think we forgot really who we are in this nation. And Gene Simmons, although he did it in a very wicked way in a lot of respects, he didn't. he wasn't able to speak a word of English when he got here. And I know there's people that don't believe in um, concentration camps or that there was a Holocaust. And I know there's all these rumor mills. I just want to share with you this because this video, it shows you how much of a heart this man has for his nation known as America. And when he talks about his mom, he can't even hold it. And the only thing his mom wanted was his kids to be safe. And I want you to listen to what he says about America at the end, because this is really the heart of a man who has it, who knows it. Because the rest of our nation really has forgotten who we are. But I want you guys to watch this with me for 3 minutes and 49 seconds.
I know I don't look Swiss. And I'm a proud son of a concentration camp survivor of Nazi Germany. My mother was 14 when she was in the camps. I'm measuring my words because I'm about to break up again. And again, my mother just passed at 93, but almost there, 10 seconds control. If Americans could see and hear my mother, almost there, talk about America, they would understand. And I'll just cut to the chase. When we first came to America, my mother let me stay up and watch TV with her, and I couldn't speak English very well. And my mother could barely get by. She worked 6 days a week, and at night, we would watch the news and whatever, and by 12 o'clock, the 3 or 4 TV stations would go off the air, and you would hear this kind of just noise, and people presumably would go to sleep. Before then, we saw a jet flying through the sky, on TV, a jet flying through the sky, and a man in a very deep voice was saying something I couldn't understand it, and the jet then turned skyward and flew seemingly into the heavens through the clouds. And I remember what the man said, and saw the face of God. And then it melted into a black and white, because in those days we didn't have color TV. The flag was full screen, billowing. And I heard, da, 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 you know, the national anthem, and I didn't know what it was or what was going on, and it was almost time to go to sleep. It was late, and every time my mother saw the flag, she'd start crying. As an 8-year-old boy, I didn't understand why. But from my mother's point of view, we were finally safe. I may have been born in the country, everybody. Give me 2 seconds. I may have been born in the country that people throughout history have referred to as the Promised Land, but
Listen,
take my word for it. America is the Promised Land
boom.
for everybody.
America is the promised land. I'm telling you right now, that's I mean, aside from the emotional elements of him being an actor, performer, businessman worth $500 million and doing it in all the wrong ways, it's interesting to, by the way, correction, Pentagon, not the White House. Interesting to get his opinion. He was born in 47. At 8 years old, it would have been 1956. Um, I can't imagine what it would have been like. I mean, I've been in jail as a kid and been through those things. I got FYI, it was suspended license stuff. Um, and in those days, we have protections. With what you hear about these days about the nightmares of Auschwitz and these various things, there's a lot of things to debate, but it's I'm not going to debate that with everybody. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take a man's account as a kid of what he remembers. And what's interesting is he was talking about how the program on TV would go off and or the TV would shut off at midnight, and then you would hear the gray, and they wouldn't run all night programming like they do today. And I kind of remember a little bit about that on some stations as a young man for myself in the early 70s. But here we have a guy who gets it. And I listen, there's so much that I am willing and open to learn now that you when you find out something that isn't your truth and you get that humble pie. Like I donated to George Bush Jr. in his campaigns when I was a lender and profitable and business minded. And I remember getting a picture back signed, and I had it on my wall like it was my personal signed picture from George Bush. Um, and to find out what I found out about that family after the fact, to watch 9/11 portray itself and then to find the truth about 9/11 after the fact, um, some hard pills to swallow. America isn't what you think it is. And the law is structured to be what America thinks it is. We have that in play, and we can have that over ourselves and over the people because it's just an absolute. The Supreme Court says it. It's not something that I have to pretend to be. It's already confirmed. It's already a country. But to watch people get what America is really about before the exposure of really what America had become by this time, meaning the United States corporation, there's still the glimmer of hope for us as a nation. It's understanding that we have what we have personally, individually. That's what republic means. That I can have all of the Declaration of Independence and all of its benefits of being a child of God, which is really what our nation is. I don't know if you've read the Declaration of Independence lately, but your God is mentioned on that document many, many times. He is the sovereign. And when you come out from a iron fist, like this guy's mother, and all you want for your children is safety, to where she's probably in an apartment, he's 8 years old, he's barely getting by, she's fresh off the boat. America. He doesn't get it. He's going to a movie theater. He's got a TV in his room now, never had that before. But he can look back on his life, even though he made it in a weird way, as a businessman, as an entrepreneur, the choice of right and wrong, the choice of becoming successful, the choice of of this marketplace that we have that a lot of people shun. It's the only one that works in the entirety of the world. Socialism does not work. Communism does not work. Having an oligarchy does not work. And we're about to find out about the technocracy government. That for sure doesn't work. Imagine having a communist government with controls over your money, your life, your movements, your front door. Every single element we can't even fathom. And I think I'm going to start pivoting to being that watcher and really pound things into your mindsets so that you guys can start realizing what is coming. First and foremost, we have a VIP membership on hisadvocates.org. I highly recommend people go and get that. We are working with the VIP members on Tuesdays and Thursdays to help them with this mindset to understand and get their questions answered, to walk them into both a physical freedom, a spiritual freedom, and an emotional and mental freedom. There's all these things that we're not thinking about that's right around the corner, not being discussed, not being mentioned, that we have got to be ready for. And you know what they're going to use against us is every elements of all these things that they can control: your homes, your cars, your food purchasing ability. What does the word say? You don't have that mark, you're not going to be able to what? Buy what? And so I've got one of those backyards growing some food. I don't got it down. I don't got the time. I actually have to hire people to do that, but I'm trying to figure it out. I got some chickens and you know what? Those little girls need to work harder. They only give me like an egg every other day now. They're like really tight on their egg production, and I feed them good, but I'm learning. Those are the things to which we need to be thinking for ourselves. It's like, and I don't got one of those yards. It's on a hill, so I got to make it all work and figure it out and level things up and try to make a garden. But I've been able to plant about 40 fruit trees. We have about 8 or 9 avocado trees. Perfect. We are going to be I have these areas for potatoes, and I'm also thinking about going underground for protection and for other things and reasons. But does any of that matter if I don't have a proper deed? Does any of that matter if an executive order decides to take my land because it's really property and not patented or allodial or fee simple absolute? Those are the considerations that we need to be having today. Yeah, the physical, getting the contracts appropriately ready. Like, I have one of those cars that they can find anything out. They can tell how fast I'm going. They can stop it remotely. And I didn't even think about that till after I bought it. And I'm like, okay. And my wife wants me to get rid of my old truck. I'm like, no, no, I can't be controlled with that thing. And all I got to do is keep some gas in it. You know what I mean? That's beautiful. Oh, you're not going to let me drive it on the road? Okay, we'll see. We'll see about that. And those are the things that we have to be thinking about. Because with AI coming here and those elements of people thinking singularity isn't going to take effect for years. No, it's done. AI took over in 2016. What you are watching with the COVID events was an AI manipulated simulation for the purposes of bringing you into a second one this year, next year, on a different premise. And look, these simulations are completely worldwide controlled and released. And literally, I don't think governments have any clue of how to control it. You think I'm full of it. All right. I And now we're rolling out the robots to go into people's houses. And you're going to be asking for coffee, and it's going to be like bliss because it's going to be programmed to make it exactly how you ask it. Next thing you know, you're not going to have a job or the ability to have a job. But for those first few years of this rollout, this automatic rollout of something that's going to happen, it's going to be bliss. It's going to be beautiful. It's going to be easy street. Digits are just going to get deposited to your accounts. Everybody's going to be bowing down to this Trump guy. It's going to be awesome. Is it? Really? Hmm. I just think that we don't know what's about to happen, and I really want to just be that voice on the top of the mountain, just screaming, screaming as loud as I can. Hey, wake up, because we need America more than anything in the world, and it was hijacked at the very beginning, but really in the mid 1800s, and it's turned back. There is a republic. You need to look up the Republic for the United States of America. Know and know this. It is the most infiltrated organization probably in America right now, other than the White House. Literally. They have routines that they run on any organization that is outside of their scope of what they want to be promoted. So they will put people in the hundreds and hundreds into these organizations to argue and give disinformation and those people will come and they will do things to make other people look bad. Like they will try to set things up to make people look bad and to just dispel the truth of the beneficial interest of doing certain things like working towards freeing America. It's crazy. But I've watched them try to tear down the Republic since 2012, 4 or 5 times. And I am a party to that. Absolutely. But I kind of walked away from a day-to-day guy in the Republic because you cannot have a Republic if there's nobody in it. And just because everybody thinks that because they were defrauded into these phony contracts that make you a lesser citizen, known as a U.S. citizen, that all Trump has to do is wave a hand on your benefit and behalf and explode the corporation. They're not going to explode the corporation. They're not going to change one element of what they're doing other than to bleed the corporation out and to come after all of the corporation's assets, which include you. There's going to be a lot of talk, a lot of rhetoric, America, 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 make America great again, a lot of red hats. And it's just going to keep walking down that path of total control over this nation. 100%. 100%. He's in the pockets of everybody that is bringing this forward. Palantir, China. There are so many things that this president that many people admire is doing and isn't doing. And I have been saying this for a long time. The white elephants are pretty obvious. And just naming a few every time I get onto my soapbox. One of the biggest is deep underground military bases. Why? Why do we have them? Why do we have over 180 of them here in this nation? Number two, where are all the people disappearing to? Almost 1 million people a year in this nation disappear. Where are they going? Okay, those are white elephants. They get reported on a kidnap list and they go somewhere. Where are they? Number three, sex trafficking for the elites. Number four, did you guys watch Glenn Beck yesterday on the release of the Epstein tape where he can visibly see a different camera position, different view, showing people in the background when nobody was supposed to be there? And yet you have all of these Trumpers, Trump appointed, Dan Bongino, whatever, Bongino, you look at the current FBI director, and all these people say there's nothing there, including Trump. There's something there. Why are we being lied to? Well, it's because of what they use these people for. And Jeffrey Epstein is not dead. Period. And those people, we talked about it in Revelation 6 the other day, they're going to regret it. Judgment day is coming. But I know one thing's for certain, what God says to all of us, to his people, come out. You got people that don't know God, really, and don't do anything about it. And they just want their freedom and they want to be left alone. I get it. America's for everybody. I think and I think everybody in the world should have what we have. I know a lot of people don't want to hear that. I think the opportunity to make amends with the rest of the world, instead of just allowing our military to go and crush people and make deals that only favor us. And right now, Trump's looking really good on the exchange rates with how much he's collected back. Do we have any numbers on what he's actually brought in and saved and brought that deficit down? Are we actually seeing what those numbers look like? Do we actually understand the benefits of Doge and the benefits of what he has done in his office? No, you're not going to see the numbers. Why? The United States corporation is inside of a bankruptcy. The income derived from all the people and all the corporations will never meet the interest minimum that the Federal Reserve is charging on the interest. In other words, you cannot get out of debt. In other words, you cannot get out of bankruptcy, and you are not going to quash the United States corporation. I just don't see that. I see them playing this out and playing this out and let the routine happen. President Trump, he's going to get older, he's going to get older, and then they're going to put their boys in, JD Vance. The next available guy supposedly was killed, Charlie Kirk, who I thought would have been an excellent opportunity for him being a president. Unfortunately, he doesn't even know how to run his own organization. He does from a leadership standpoint, from an ideology standpoint, from a spiritual standpoint, and also from a raising fund standpoint. And the reality is how he doesn't know is he doesn't realize infiltration. And he didn't know, in my opinion, that his own wife was a mark and a setup and a liar. Sad. Think about it. Being a hardcore believer, you're under God, you love the Lord, and you just want a woman brought to you, and out of nowhere, this beautiful woman comes and she's godly and this and that. She's acting. And look, y'all don't like what I'm going to say. That's fine. She's acting. That's my belief. And she took the donations that Charlie did not want to take, her husband. And that company has made 250 million since the death of her husband and used her husband to bring the death scene to one of the engagements. I mean, it's this whole thing is a marketing bloopers. I just can't believe some of the stuff I'm watching. And I don't believe anything that comes out of her mouth now. I don't see a girl that is walking with the Lord before her marriage or after. The point I'm making, they appoint all people into office. Do you honestly believe everything that went down during the 4 years with Biden? Or do you think maybe Trump was in the background, letting himself get arrested, letting himself look defeated, shaking up America a whole lot, showing people what it would be like without total Trump in office? Now Trump is being called the king of the world. And I'm just very fearful for a lot of people going down that road of thinking that he is the end all. We have gold at 5,050, silver at 81. There are some things that Trump does that looks like it's for the benefit of the people. But I want you to, when you look at something you think Trump has done that's good, remember the structure of the company that you are in, and who is it benefit? Not the stockholders, the citizens, because you're in a bankruptcy. It benefits who? The creditors, the banks. Anything Trump does to reduce the debt is going into the bank's pockets. Anything Trump does in saving people on taxes and collecting on tariffs and collecting on these new deals with every country around the world is for the benefit of the banks. It's not for the benefit of this nation because the structure of this nation is being forgot about of what happened from 1933 to today. The only thing you're watching is a show and you believe you're benefiting. It's like going to a movie. You think you're watching something enjoyable. You fit yourself into the scene. You wish you were kissing that boy or that girl. It's the same show, man. You watching Trump do all these amazing things for America. No, it's for the banks. That is the structure of what is going on in the country right now. The banks get all of it. Anything that comes in to reduce the national debt, banks. What is the white elephant? If Trump had total control of the military, what is the white elephant? Get rid of the Federal Reserve Act. Gone. Bye. That's the white elephant. Snuff the bankruptcy as illegal. They've collected enough. They made enough. It's over. Crush it. That's what a president should do. Get rid of being sprayed. Get rid of these injections. Get rid of the, you know, every white elephant. Don't let these corporations buy up a third of our nation and then dry up the markets and increase rent costs, and stop letting states increase tax and federal government overreach and all of these white elephants that nobody is talking about. ICE is a white elephant. Cops that are killing 1,000 people a year are a white elephant. I don't know of any gangs in our nation doing that kind of damage that the largest street gangs in the world are doing. I'm not against cops. I'm against bad cops. I'm against aggression of either side. And I get why people have to do the things that they do. I do. I get why people on the road think they are free, and then when they don't want to roll down their window and there's no law requiring them to, and then the cops break the window, grab them by the hair, pull them out, and treat them completely disrespectfully. And did I even talk about ICE? No, I'm talking about color. I'm talking about what happens in this nation to people, mostly color. Listen, we do have white elephants. We do have a lot of issues. But, one of the things and one of the reasons why I do the VIP, the motivational, the inspirational stuff that we started doing in January is because it's important to have the knowledge of what is going on, but it's more important to walk above it, support freedom in every element. Do not step over innocent. Do not ignore the opportunity to help, but for the love of God, remember who you are as a child of God. And that is what we are focused on. And we are creating real men, real women who are going to prosper and going to use every bit of the word and not the woe is me and not everything that every pastor, not all pastors, but a lot of pastors want people to focus on being weak, turning the other cheek. And none of those scriptures are properly interpreted. None of them. So when a pastor talks about if he's going to tithing and telling you 10%, it's a totally incorrect interpretation, period. Period. And I love pastors, and they can be wrong. It's okay. And I know you've screwed yourself and put yourself in a big building and got a lot of debt. Well, that was not biblical, by the way, for you to do. You should not be putting yourself in debt. You should not be collateralizing the debt for the church. Those are all biblical do not do's. And the reality is, we shouldn't have a need. If there's billionaires out there, they should be buying up the churches for the pastors. The pastors should be, working a normal job and get there on a Saturday or a Sunday and, do your sermon. The bottom line, I think churches have a lot of things backwards. And part of it, and the major part of it is they're bringing the people into the fold of governmental control, governmental authority. And it's because the government has institutions that are designed to get into the pastor's ears about this. You can't have a people thinking they are free. You can't have a people thinking that taxes are illegal or not for everybody. You can't have a people thinking that they can fight back when somebody comes against them for standing up for themselves. And this is the problem. I don't think God wants us to be weak sauce Christians. And I think that's where we completely have it wrong. None of the founders of this nation were weak sauce. They were men of valor for the most part, ballsy to do what they did. It was 1% of all the people that were here that fought. That's it. And today there's the equivalent of the Republic for the United States of America holding the battleground down for your freedom as the Republic, hoping that we can get enough people in that have done their passport process so we can at least see who has made allegiance to the Republic. Let those people that have made allegiance to the Republic, made that declaration with the Department of State, let those people lead in the Republic and get rid of the infiltration, get rid of all the people in these secret societies that are running things in the background of our nation. And let's bring forward the greatest nation in the world once again. We were the greatest nation in the world. And yes, there can be some back end secret thing going on. I think 2019 to 2024 was a play and Trump was in on the play. Why? If you didn't know this, I was pointing out Joe Biden was not Joe Biden 5 years ago. Y'all might have thought I was a little crazy by saying the earlobes of the old Joe Biden don't match the earlobes of the new Joe Biden. Y'all might have remembered I showed a little mask, a little itch on the back. Y'all might have remembered his little face dropped on the inside of the mask and it looked like distorted and contorted. And I showed you guys this stuff. Now it's in the Epstein files that Joe Biden supposedly was killed in 2019 in Guantanamo for treason, for child sex trafficking, and that guy in office was wearing a mask. Can you imagine if that is just the truth? And for a second, Trump knew about it. You think he's not? You think Trump's not going to know about it? Trump called out the birth certificate on Barack Obama. I don't think at the time that Trump was walking towards being president, he knew what to step into and what not to step into. Now I know he knows. Do you think he was going to call Joe Biden out for wearing a mask and this, that, and the other? Do you think that Air Force One was Air Force One when Joe Biden first became president? Do you remember us talking about this stuff, guys? Do you remember what the Secret Service looked like when Joe Biden first got in the office? Do you guys remember these things? It's all an act. And if it's all an act, I mean, Trump opens up his freaking mouth about everything. Sorry, I said freaking. Sometimes I say. So Trump opens up his mouth about everything. You think he's not going to open up his mouth about that? No, why? Because he's in on it. Get people into such a state that when he gets back into office, he can sign anything he wants and everybody will just accept it and applaud. And all countries will start wearing the same hat. Make Israel great again. Make Italy great again. Make France great again. All Trump. Trump the king. Careful. Just be careful. Just be careful. Anyway, I got some questions to answer. And I've been talking for about 41 minutes. I can talk for another 41 minutes. Um, for the active state, first question. What are your top two or three preferred countries and why? Also, I am close to DC. Can I go to the embassy to apostille in person? Apostle, you mean apostille instead of mail? Sarah, one of the things that you need to do is an active state and just get it into the public. If you need, you can reach out to us. We are creating the docs so they go into the public, and then you can take a certified copy of our creation in the publicly filed domain. That's the whole purpose. And yeah, notice to the Department of State or the Secretary of State of a particular state, but they cost more than we do, and they push back, and they don't give you a public file to look back upon. So it's okay to just get it into the public and then serve them with the notice of it being in the public now. So the ideal of an apostille is to bring it into the public. The active state is what you're bringing in with your court of record. Create the court of record. Have Alex, our back office, help you with understanding what to do to create the court of record. And then if you need, I think it's $100 for a lifetime public posting. Some of them are very expensive. They charge by the document or what have you, but it's pretty cheap. Just get it stacked, get it right. We'll put it into the public for you and then give you a certified single PDF that you can print out, serve constructive notice to all the parties with the link of where it's publicly posted. Um, from Anonymous, question on foundation docs and concern about opening a bank account. Foundation docs on page 4 it states the director shall not be less than two. A number may even be increased by the directors beyond two in number temporarily or permanently for any reason believed beneficial to the foundation. By nominating myself as both the executive director and the managing director seems to invalidate section 4 of appointment and powers of members of the board of directors. It does. Who sees this document? Just the banks, exchanges, stock trades, and they don't read any of those sections. We always encourage people, get it started. If you don't have anybody to consider, get it started and understand you need to bring yourself in conformity with this. So find a friend, find a family member, somebody, a child, a wife, somebody who has an interest in seeing you succeed. And but you can get anything opened up by yourself as the executive and managing director, and just know you're working towards growing something. And so it's not always going to be out the door that you have everything perfected. And you can be in both positions initially, and you can invite people to a board position. Remember, so the executive has one vote, the managing has one vote, and the board has one vote. Both the executive director and the managing director exist on the board. So they both can steer a board to have one vote. So if these two people are at odds and there is, and only them are on the board, the executive director overwrites, which is the biblical book of Acts way to run a church. And that's the final decision, period. FYI. So am I better to nominate a temporary managing director and have minutes created and take back a role after the bank accounts are open? Doesn't matter. Again, they don't read the docs. Question for Gary. I have established his advocates type of foundation? Are there laws or rules that pertain to a private foundations? Where would I find them? They're basically all in the back end of the bylaws, page 10 through 40, ish. Uh, like, do you have any giveaway percentage of the foundation income to another foundation or charitable organization each year? Does that apply only to incorporated foundations? Great question, Gary. Um, so you have private foundations on the IRS website. That is not you. That is a corporation applied for a 501c3 status and went for a private foundation status, kind of as a for a family. You're a private foundation, unincorporated and unregistered. There are no rules. The rules are the bylaws, whatever you state for yourself. And it's not an absolute law. There is no donation minimum, donation maximum. Gary, I know it's going to be important for you that when you see and face God, that you've done well. Just know you don't have to file a return on this entity. So every person that God puts on your heart to help, to heal, to clothe, to shelter, you're going to do. And that's the benefit of having a church, having a foundation that doesn't have an overseer. It doesn't have, it's between you and God, period. And so you can create whatever you wish within those documents. You can have a heart to heart with God, and whatever He tells you, you can write it in to the documents to reflect whatever God has put on your heart. I do know that outside of that in the public sector, a lot of people say 5%. I don't care about any of that. I know for a fact I help more than 5% people every single month, month in and month out on anything that I'm doing. Um, so like a self-supported ministry, which is what his advocates is, it's much like a private foundation, but it's more geared as a church. But we're self-supported. We're not out there receiving donations from a bunch of people. We do get contributions or payments, and people, yes, even in their uh, living in the private, we can give them a receipt if they have a filed tax return that they need to do. We can help them with that and give them a donation receipt, and that way they can deduct it from their taxes. But for you, um, just remember that this is only a guideline that we've created within the foundation structure that you can change or alter to whatever degree you wish. And it goes for the previous question with managing director and executive director. If you want to change section 4 to only have you on the board, or where you are able to open it up yourself as the executive and managing, but the ultimate position becomes two different people, and then a board as a witness or a governing factor in a church, guys, the board isn't there to tell the pastor what to do. The pastor tells the people what he's going to do. But if the pastor is doing wrong, the people will expose the pastor, and the pastor generally will have to step down. And that's what happens in a lot of churches, when they're not operating under the book of Acts. And I hope it happens, to all churches that we are creating if they're not operating in a format where God is king and where they get this opportunity to bless people with and just but there's no number attached to that, Gary. But whatever God puts on your heart, just do it. And know this: nobody's ever coming to look at your docs. Nobody's ever going to come and inspect what you do or ask questions and say, hey, that's not right, you need to do this. That's not what happens with these. You're just plain and simple left alone. So honor God, because that's the ultimate judge. The world is a stage, but that also, this is why it is important for believers to have a strong spiritual relationship with God. Amen. In the presence of Yeshua, deceit will be revealed. Amen. Where was the IRS located again? I thought it was in the Dominican Republic or Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico. Well, it's everywhere, but Puerto Rico is supposedly the head. But I don't know. This is rumor mill. I have not looked that up myself. Religion has replaced Jesus. Nope, not in this boy's heart. Whatever denomination or label you have placed to have authority over your faith, be it Mormons, Catholics, Christians, Jesus never told his followers to follow a denominational party and denounce the influence of religion over the hearts and minds of men at every turn. Amen. I know, even saying sometimes when you say you're a Christian, a lot of times people are looking at that as a denomination, especially when people are criticizing, you know, but I'm always pointing people back to relationship because it's very difficult to look through the word of God and know what is absolute for you when sometimes these very simple verses have been altered, one little digit, one little word added. 2 Peter 2:13, great example. You must be obedient to every form of human government. Altered, additional word added, must. It's not in the original. As a matter of fact, it clearly would stipulate and say you may be required. And so, why was it changed in the King James to reflect that? Because the kings want power, they want control, they want you to obey, they want you to be repressive, they want you to turn the other cheek. And that's really what that is about. Um, Alex already made my docs, but he says I have to pick a country. Tell Alex you want uh, to do this in his advocates, and you don't need to pick a country. For the State of the Union citizen passport process, is a duly authenticated long form birth certificate a requisite? If so, why? No. We used to do it as a requisite. We don't anymore. It's more or less a requisite in the future when we are going to go after, which is not included in the living in the private. Something we're considering for the next year is quashing the BC, and that will be a requirement to have. So don't think you're wasting your time if you got it. Start a bank account at B of A, was not able to use a PNB address. Yep. Their new computer software flagged the address. They would not accept it. It happens to everybody. Had to use a personal house to get the account open. Also, signature card was digital, and they rejected all options. Tried to sign, did not accept ARR or non-assumptive. We got the account open. Now we need to correct the contract. Next step. Um, well, yeah, I that's why I signed non-assumptive in cursive, and they can't really say anything because it matches my passport. On that note, I I use an address that is where under the definition, I receive no mail, but I'm allowed to use, and it's not where I sleep. Um, but I can absolutely say I live there. I'll leave it at that. But the bottom line is, guys, look, you can send a notice to the bank after you get the account open, put some money in the account, let it ride for a little bit. Remember, the only purpose of not having a personal address on anything is you don't want to receive personal mail, and banks are absolutely forcing the issue of you getting personal mail. So just cut the bank off and say, I do not receive personal mail at this box or at this address, period. If they don't honor that, and they sometimes don't, they still want to send mail, stamp it, rejected. And you don't even need to put no such person exists at this address. They're going to come back and they're going to say, well, we need proof of this, and this. And um, for me, just get the account open, send a notice. You are now a sojourner. You're going on a trip, and this is the only way you're going to be able to receive your mail is at this box number and in care of the foundation because they're doing a distribution for you. So make sure the in care of the foundation name is on there and do everything you can to get your personal name off there. Um, Ask to receive all statements in an email and no longer written form. Make sure all your emails are private, they're not Gmail. Um, the whole goal is just not to receive personal mail, guys. That's the whole goal. And to make sure that your home residence or your home is private. And that's everything. If your home is private, you're golden. Um, for a lot of different reasons. Number one reason, when that mailbox is on your property, they now have jurisdiction over that land because that's their mailbox on your land, actually your property. So getting the deed done right, getting the mailbox gone, those are all steps of the living in the private, but not receiving personal mail or not having an individual be able to say you get personal mail. This is why we do the notice of removal of the office of the person with the regional postmaster down the street, so that we can tell them we do not want to receive personal mail anymore and reject it. And they don't have this system quite down yet, but they should and they need to because it's an election to receive personal mail. Let me say it another way. It's an election to hold an office of U.S. citizen. That all caps name is the BC. The BC is the U.S. citizen. You're holding the office. And if you hold it in a few different ways, bank account, DMV, and these things that they can show, jurisdiction is granted that you've agreed to the terms of statutes, codes, and not necessarily public law, even though that applies to you, but obviously a policy enforcement officer, police enforcement officer now can come after you when they can prove that through contract rule that you're holding that office of the U.S. citizen. And so this is why we do what we do in the living in the private program. So just do your best. And maybe just send them a letter after a month or two of having the account open. I no longer receive mail at this address. I'm currently residing in an RV travel in the country. I can only receive stuff at this. They can't come back against that. They're not going to. They're going to remove the address from the account. Try it out. Somebody's making a recommendation. Best to use general delivery pickup at most post offices located behind the counter. They hold it for 30 days behind the counter, so you have 30 days on each mail sent to the PO to pick up. It's great. True that. I still don't want to receive mail on general delivery. Personally, I just don't want to receive any mail anywhere personally. Trump is playing his part, preparing the way for the global one world kingship position to be made known. Thank you. Okay. We are LPP members. Alex is supposed to do the apostille process for us. Nope. We just sign. No, the apostille is to bring something into the public. I mean, he's done it for people before, but the reality is, Sarah, you just want to put something in the public. Weigh that against just having us do it for you from the standpoint we do an active state with the court of record behind it in the public. And that active state is not going to be apostilled with the Secretary of State, but it's your docs, the collective, the court of record going into the public saying, this is my active state. And when you're done with that publicly filed copy, you can serve the parties and then you're done, done, done. And so the parties can be the Secretary of State where you were going to get an apostille so they can create and keep that on record for you. Same with the governor, same with the local sheriff, same with the local PD, same with, IRS, SSA. Maybe you want to send it to 8 or 9 different people to keep on file. Why? Because it is the proven record with judgment of status and standing, not only with the Department of State, but with all your public franchises. And you're sending it to them with your fee schedule for violating any of your God-given unalienable rights. And what we're going to be adding, I mean, it's already on there for the most part, but what we're going to be adding is the biometric stuff. And there's a component of the biometrics that we're going to be adding to the living in the private program coming in the next couple months. Uh, for the data, there's 5 main databases that if you don't want your biometrics used, you have to opt out with these databases. We're going to be talking about that stuff in the next month or two. So those are things to consider. But for you, you just get it into the public with us, or you can do the active state using an apostille with the Secretary of State of your state. And that's something that you have to create your court of record. You have to create we create the active state for you. You have to fill out, because we don't know the information on the apostille you would use to do the Secretary of State. We don't know how many pages you have in your document. and various different information. And so it's really up to you to fill out a single page, which is all it is for the apostille. Um, but you don't need an apostille. You can put it in the public with us, is the point I'm trying to make. Hope that helps. I closed an IRA and a 401k last year. Boom. I bought silver with it most before the foundation was made in December. I was wondering, as far as taxes from last year, do I put contributions amount as the amount I bought the silver at? Doesn't matter. You're not asking the wrong questions. Just donate it, current market value. Give yourself a receipt from the foundation, and you're done. Um, Credit union will not agree to annex the personal correction of the application to the personal account. It doesn't matter. As long as you mailed it and you sent it to them, that's all we're doing it for is proof of mailing. We mailed it correctly and have a record of delivery, and we'll write a letter of denial to annex. Your thoughts on that, please? You just tell them this isn't a matter of a request. We want this annexed to the original copy of the record, and we're not asking. But if you already sent that, you don't need to send it twice. You have proof of delivery, you're good to go. What do you recommend when it comes to signing the lengthy privacy policies before doctor's appointment? Not gonna like what I have to say. I don't go to doctors when the only option is to sign online. Yeah, you're gonna have to serve a notice. Yeah, I don't go to doctors. And when I do, they always want you to do that online stuff before you get there. And half the time they forget me to fill out the paperwork when I am there. And they'll say, can you take your phone and do this or do this here on this tab? I'm like, no, request a copy of the paperwork. By law, they have to give it to you. Should I demand? Yeah, hard copy, correct. Yeah, you're good. Yeah, a lot of people don't realize, man, they have to give you a copy of an application. It doesn't have to be digitalized. Should I get a new email address instead of using what I've used for years? I don't know. I don't use anything but something that I own and I control. Gmail can't shut down my personal email. Got it? They can shut down anything they want, but not mine. You said you don't have a Gmail. What is a private email? Kelby at kelbysmith.com, kind of a thing. Kelby at hisadvocates.org. Those are private emails. I own the domain. Nobody else does. And I issue myself emails. What do you remember when you met those people that you mentioned that had changed their name privately and had a change reflected on their passport? Yes, I remember that, John. I don't see a question. Do you remember where? Oh, that's the question. Where you met those people? Here, his advocates. Do you have any thoughts on drone pilots getting a Part 107 license while living in the private? Just reserve your rights. I checked the requirement and there's not a citizenship requirement, but since it's a federal license, I thought I'd see what you thought. It's a license that's intended for you to fly and get paid for it or fly a drone over a certain weight. I do fly for some filming jobs, getting paid to our foundation about once a month. Thanks, Kelby. You got it. Just reserve your rights on it. I know they're playing games, um, and telling you that you have to do certain things. I mean, I can't imagine a drone the size of an airplane, flying out there, but I find it amusing that they are doing what they're doing with in reference to drones. But at the same time, guys, drones is a different breed, man. It's a different technology. I remember being in a hotel in Malibu, and my wife and I are sitting on the bed looking out the window at the ocean, going, "This is beautiful." And a drone flies up and faces in our window. And I'm always carrying, if I'm out and especially, and I went and pulled and boom, phew, gone in a second. Um, yeah, I would have protected, but the bottom line is that's a different breed nowadays. You know what I mean? It's like, who would have thought we were going to have drones flying everywhere? Is it a right for everybody to have a drone? Well, no, not when they're not when they're peeping into people's windows in a hotel. So how do we control that if it's not a function of being able to know where every drone is and who owns it. And so there are things that we don't like that we got to consider because the hobos that want to be bad people. And that's kind of the whole premise of the driver's license. That's the whole reason why they went through all that. But it doesn't mean you as a state citizen can't contract with them. Just do, you know, that license is acceptable. Just make sure you reserve your rights on it. That's all I would say. I sure wish I knew who was flying that drone over our windows, and it's not been the first or last time. I see them around all the time. We hear the drones, coming over houses and different things like that. And that's not a good thing. I don't agree with that at all. I would like to know who it is my point. Since foundations can own companies, they can own stock, correct? What is the best way to do that? If my foundation owns my LLC, are their business profits still tax exempt? Is the LLC still under the federal and state law? The LLC is still under federal and state law. However, we're talking about taxes and law. So you're talking about IRS code, Title 26, and you're talking about law for the LLC or the governing authority for the LLC. So what people do, and I want you to go get your own accountant to tell you, but that's my disclaimer. But if a foundation, because LLCs for the most part, they don't have stock, they have members. If the foundation is the sole member of an LLC, what happens to the LLC is and the term is disregarded entity. Do what you want with this, but that means that the LLC ultimately would not have a taxable obligation because the primary member would be, in fact, a foundation, sole member, primary member. And so get that checked with an accountant, and you will find that what I have found, I believe to be true. There might be a CPA out there that may differ. But most CPAs don't even know about the revocation of election. And disregarded entity, I'm sure, is something that they probably really haven't thought through, or they might have a different definition for what that actually means. And again, who's right and who's wrong. So go look it up yourself, disregarded entity regarding a foundation for being a sole member for the LLC, and then do your own research on that kind of stuff. But anything that is for sure paid to the foundation is exempt. Anything that comes into that LLC that is offset to the foundation is exempt. The taxable liability to the LLC functioning much like an S corp, where you bleed out the S corp to the individual. You're doing nothing different, but doing it with the foundation, making the LLC exempt of paying taxes. And so there's a lot of different ways to accomplish that. Is the digital currency exchange set up yet? We're working on it. Thank you for the follow-up. When I send the vendors letters, should I send certified mail or regular mail is fine? Vendor letters, regular mail is fine. First class. But it's a buck, $2 or $3, whatever for certified. I would do certified, but you don't need to. Um, it's always going to be one or two vendors that want to do it their way. And just the hardest problem in the LPP is getting people to do what you want. Getting them to mail your foundation is the hardest problem that we've found within the living in the private program. So just keep working on it. I put in a ticket already with HISA, also as a truck driver, DMV refunded to change my address on the license as I don't have a domicile. I gave a credit card statement, but I do not have any other bills in my name, UPS address. I don't have a welcome letter from UPS or UPS within 6 months of current date. I hate this nonsense pushback. Trying to find a question in there, brother. I've always seen the opt-out mechanism away for data collection companies. Yeah, for sure. To collect and keep on file information about you they don't need as collecting. Well, data is everything in the future. As collecting information, they don't have explicit consent. It's everything right now, actually, to default a violation. However, it is not a violation to get your information if you consent. That's true. What do you see about the biometrics that's different? Nothing. It's all the same. You're going through airports and you stand up in front and you say, you let them take your picture. You're in a database now. And, flying to Cabo when I came back, we flew privately for about the same money that you were able to fly first class. But there's a lot of good reasons why, because you come back through, you got to go through one of the main airports like LA, because you're flying internationally. So you got to come by customs. You can go JSX, to Cabo for about 1,200 bucks each way, which is about the same as first class. And customs comes on and they pointed at my face and said, "Welcome home, Kelby." They knew my name by my face. So I loved it and I hated it. I'm going to have to reverse that. And proof is going to be flying and coming home private and getting that done again. So I'm going to go and remove their ability to have me in those databases. And I'm obviously going to be the test case for a lot of people. What is that going to do? Nothing. It's just controlling my biometrics. So they're going to need to see my passport, and because I'm not in their database, and they're going to have to make a determination of what they want to do with me on the spot. Probably going to hassle me, probably going to pull me out, kind of a thing. Is it worth it? I don't know. I don't know how biometrics is going to, at this time, control, but I do know getting into a car, like the car I have has cameras in the front of in the dash pointing at me, looking at my face, getting my reflection, knowing if you're nodding out. I'm not exaggerating when I'm saying that. And I was able to catch the cameras by taking pictures. You can actually see the cameras by taking a picture of the dash. And it's spooky. Like, what are they going to do with these biometrics? Because you got to agree to all these terms of services to get all the benefits of your car, kind of a thing. So, always a benefit, always the draw. You know what I mean? So, we got to figure this out as we go, but it's ultimately going to be, because you don't want a free ball rub when you go through TSA. So, what do? We have an opt out and hold you for 10 minutes, put you in a glass bubble, and make fun of you. I don't like all the way that they respond. And this is why we got to hold these people accountable and finish up some of the stuff that we say we're going to do when they hold us up, like going through TSA and stuff. But we're going to learn what needs to be done with biometrics as it gets more intrusive, but it's getting there. Um, Over private property, you should be able to create a knockout system that disables drones being operated in unauthorized territory. Anything that's flying over your house within a certain level of feet, I think is vulnerable. It's like a drone flying window height without your permission. I think you're able to take it down, but I'm not sure. But the next thing is really there's technology that you can knock it out of the sky, and if it falls on your property, then it's your drone, period. And so the technology that I'm going to be investing in, because drones scare the crap out of me, drones are the future warfare, uh, literally. I want to be able to just press a button in my house and have a system go, and any drones around my house are going to come down and be completely knocked out from an EMP or whatever it is. But they have that technology. And it's sad that we have to scale off and get something like that to protect ourselves. But there's I guess small ones that are the size of a handgun you can point and then it'll do an EMF um to a drone, knock it out of the sky. There's also technology that'll fire something super fast and entangle it and bring it down. Either way, you get it and bring it down. Go pull the chip out of it, and you got yourself a drone. Just take the battery pack out, disconnect it, and now you own yourself a drone. Somebody's going to be pissed, and they'll stop flying over your house. Um, if you disable the drones, you can track it back to the operator. Oh, help me, John. Should I use my PMB for DMV and driver's license? I have a PMB on my drivers and everything. It's just the accounts trying to open up a business bank account or something. They try to get a physical address. I was looking for a different way to fix the issue with my DMV pushback. Sorry about the question, wasn't clear. Thanks, Eddie. All right. Let's see if I got anything over on the live stream. What's up, live stream? Oh, Bank of America is asking for Social Security number. Of course they are. Give it to them. Don't worry about it. It doesn't mean you need to worry about it. Yeah, just give it to them. So you're saying, so you've already established a bank account, Mark, and now they're asking for it a year later, or you've established the bank or the foundation a year ago, and now they're asking for it for the bank account. If it's for the bank account and it's a new account, then just give it to them. It's not the whole reason is when we're signing with the word buy in front of our name, we're showing that we're, an agent for the entity. We're not operating as an office holder of the person or as that person. It's basically an agent of. And so that's the purpose for the word buy in front of your name on a signature. Um, Secondly, you don't have a social, your BC does. Lastly, if you're signing with a full reservation of rights where your signature is non-assumptive, you got no contract. And so just go get your accounts established. And it doesn't need to be a B of A, it can be any bank. Old account asking for more info. Yeah, give it to them. It's not a big deal. I'm surprised they're asking for a social later. B of A normally would ask for a social when you're open. If I patent, you wrote it as patient, my own biometrics, can I sue them? So we are, Kelly, what we're thinking about doing and not thinking, we're going to do those trademarks on our biometrics and then have it listed in the fines area for our fee schedule and then serve those agencies a copy of the completed docs, knowing specifically a letter on the cover that the biometrics is not for use and that the charge is X for their use and to remove it from their systems. So that's coming. I'm not in a big hurry to get that done. We're not being shut down yet, but do you recommend fighting the county and the property tax? I recommend fighting everybody on any tax. However, I just tell people it's going to be a fight, and we are working on creating systems that'll make it easier to deal with those people. What they want to see, even though they don't have a right to, they want to see, are you doing a church? Is there a function of a church? And what is a church? And your book of Acts has to be clear with them on how to respond. So we're actually working towards creating a set of docs that you can review to get help to do this yourself. I wish we could make a product and just crush everybody, but we're not attorneys. That's one of those things that you got to learn to do the fight on your own. But just know this: if you have your land, if you did our deed in a foundation, you guys are so next level. Okay, you can just keep placing the notice for tax exemption and then filing the tax exemption or the taxes under duress. And then whenever you're ready, 3, 4, 5 years down the road, file the case. You know what I'm saying? You don't need to worry about it right now. Just pay the payment under duress. The big thing is sheltering your assets, what you did. What do you suggest? Payment processing through the foundation. There's a few. Ask for that information on hisadvocates.org. We'll give you a couple links. That's it. That's it. I want a couple more. Biometrics is will be linking into the existing one world system, 100%. So the issue of assumption when it comes to rights will come into play on a new level as biometrics will be used by law enforcement and societal infrastructure access. Not just that, but imagine if it's robots that are the enforcement. That's in 10 years. So just stay there and know why I want to get a ship and know why I want to get private island and know why I want to have my own base or country or patented land or allodial land or you know what I'm saying? Those are the reasons why. Um, and it's important that we figure this out. But there's God's made a way for us. We have the knowledge. Now we're just putting it together. We need the finances to make it all happen. If I trademark my name, could I take that to the DMV and demand they change the address on the license? No, I don't think so. But Eddie, you can go get a license in another state, like South Dakota, like Arizona, and put whatever you want for an address on there in some cases. So, Ben, since our trust and our foundations are to remain private when downloading these documents to AI for review, are these documents still considered private? Yeah. Just understand that you've consented for AI to use this information to make a determination regarding you. At some point, AI is going to deliver this information, but it doesn't make the docs theirs, doesn't make them public. Or are they certain info to download, such as governing or bank docs without signatures? I don't really understand the second part of that, Ben. Restate that if you would, please. Utah just completed the largest data storage on Earth. I saw that. Can store every email, text, all data for every human for the next 500 years. I saw that. Wait till we put our docs completed on the blockchain. Oh, snap. I think that's where all jurisdiction is going to lie for everybody that's going to be on the blockchain. They're going to have to vet you and verify you, and it's going to be someplace on the blockchain that's going to show whether you are free or a slave. Guys, I want to thank you for coming. I want to thank you for the questions. I want to thank you for being members. Look, His Advocates TV, it's on your phone under the apps. Download it. His Advocates TV. We're going to be doing a ton of updating. We've been doing some updating on YouTube and stuff and getting all of our stuff out to the masses. We've been busy, 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 folks. Just lots of good things are happening. I appreciate every single one of you, but go to His Advocates TV. Do me a favor, tell your friends about us. Subscribe right now, right now. Stop, subscribe, please. It's just the nice thing to do, and it helps us. And know this, that we need your help to forward videos because we are shadow banned in a lot of different respects with YouTube. And every time we go out and have a video that takes off, YouTube crushes us and puts it back. So our count is like literally last 2 months ago, 3 months ago, we had the subscribers 15,000 more in an overnight, boom, and they were all stripped off. I'm like, what happened? And it's happened twice, one for about 15,000 subscribers, one for about 5,000 subscribers. They are just screwing with us, just screwing with us. Please help us forward His Advocates TV, forward our videos, tell people to get His Advocates TV on their phone, developing our own network so that we can reserve truth for the masses is the only way to go. God bless you guys. Have a great week. I'll see you next Monday, 4 p.m. Pacific. And guys, be kind to your wife. Say something nice. Take her to dinner. Do something good. Pull out her chair. Act like you respect her. Act like you love her. And women, submit. Just kidding. I'm just kidding. Come on, that was worth it. That was funny, right? So look, on this subject matter, it's truth. We should love one another like Christ loves the church. God bless you guys. Have faith that you got a good man. Just trust his leadership, support him, respect him, love him, watch what happens. He will do anything you want. I love the movie My Big Fat Greek Wedding. I think it was in the second one. She said, my husband made me the head of the house, but honey, I'm the one that steers his jet. I got a kick out of that. Anyway, God bless you guys. Have a great week. I'll see you next Monday, 4 p.m. Pacific. Enjoy.